Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you an example, and kind of what I'm trying to address here are all the different ways you can compute area estimations. So let's just jump right into this. So I have the graph here that I took from desmos.com of f of x equals negative x squared plus 2x plus 3. And I want to compute the area from -1 to 3 in this example. And I want to do this in 4 subintervals. So first things first, let's just agree on how the subintervals look. So if I divide this graph into 4 parts, here's how we can kind of chop it up. And what I want to do in this video is I just want to compare things like upper sum, lower sum, left-hand sum, right-hand sum. So what do those all look like? Because I find that like usually by the time you kind of get to this point, you probably understand the math, but maybe like some of these terms are still a little bit confusing. So I just want to kind of address like how do you figure this out? So starting with the idea of the upper sum. So this is kind of the idea that, so if I'm in this first interval, I have a choice as to which endpoints I'm going to choose. So I have either this endpoint here or this endpoint here. And you want to choose the one that is like the higher or the more upper one. So that would be this endpoint here. So then here's how I want to draw kind of my first rectangle. Then moving into this interval here. So I have the choice of this endpoint or this endpoint to kind of dictate my rectangle size. So again, if you're doing upper sum, so then you're going to take this one. And then as we continue on, so moving on to this interval, so now I want to have the upper sum. So I'll choose once again this endpoint. And then for this last one, so again, I'll kind of choose this. So this would be then how you kind of dictate your heights. And so then if I wanted to actually calculate this sum, so I'll just show you the math here. So I got, sorry, I dropped all those rectangles. But you can see here that so if I use that sum of the heights, so taking all those highest heights, like I have here, here's kind of, let's see, let me just finish drawing that out. So this is going to be the height 3, 4, 4, and 3, and then each one of those times the width. So each of these rectangles have a width of 1. So that would be how you would do that first sum. Okay, so now let's pivot to the lower sum. So again, using the same subintervals, you probably already see kind of how to do this. So as I'm in this subinterval, I have the choice of this is my endpoint or this is my endpoint. So I want to choose the lower of the two. So I'll choose this endpoint, and there's like my height of my first rectangle. And then I can continue on to this next subinterval. So the lower of the two would be this point here. So here's my next one. And then I can continue that pattern. So here's kind of how my rectangles look in this case. And so then here's how I want to do kind of my lower sum. And then if I just want to do the width times the sum of all the different heights here. So this is the height of 0, 3, 3, and 0. So there's kind of all the work for that particular sum. Okay, so now let's pivot to what about like a left-hand sum. So now that's referring to strictly using the leftmost endpoint. So in this case, if I'm in this interval, so I start on the left, so you just let the leftmost endpoint of each interval kind of dictate the height like this. And then I go to the next one, and then I get to the next interval. So it's always just the left-hand endpoint that's kind of dictating that, like you see here. And so now you can do your whole sum based off of these heights. So I'll just show you the math for that. So here's kind of the math. So as I move along, the height of this rectangle is 0, 3, 4, and 3. And so then there would be my sum, and then the width is still just 1 like it has been in all of these examples. And then finally, if I pivot to that right-hand sum, so now as I'm in each interval, so I'm starting with the rightmost endpoint. So maybe I'll actually start on this side and I'll work from the right over. So here's the rightmost endpoint. So I would take this endpoint and then this endpoint. So I'm just taking in each interval the endpoint that's to the most right. So there's how my rectangles are going to look. And so then once again, if I just want to show you the math, now as I move across the intervals, so this is a height of 3, 4, 3, and 0. So that's reflected in my calculation. And so then there you go. So that's kind of a comparison of the different ways that you can do these sums. So hopefully that was helpful. Any questions, you can always drop me a comment. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time.